Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's no secret to the fact that the Cowboys have spent this particular offseason trying to revamp their offense. Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore part ways. Mike McCarthy becomes the primary play caller. And on top of that, all of the position coaches that were left over from the Garrett era are now gone. And now you bring in Mike McCarthy's guys to help facilitate the change. This is huge because now you don't have the conflict of interest in what coaches want to do and all this other stuff. And Mike McCarthy can do it his way. But aside from the coaching element, you needed to add to the personnel, which was a big thing that I talked about. And you added Brandin Cooks through trade with the Houston Texans. And you're kind of seeing it through the offseason programs, from what Dak Prescott is saying, from what media members are saying, and everything else. This trade is looking like it is getting a better return on investment every single day. Because you got to remember that Brandin Cooks has been in the league for such a long time, over 10 years now, and the guy hasn't even turned 30 yet. Now, before we go any further, what we want to do is take a look to what's been reported in the media, and more specifically with guys like Dak and CeeDee, what they've said about Cooks, because a lot of it's high praise, considering that Brandin Cooks had high praise for them as well. So let's listen into what they had to say. The moment that guy showed up, just watching him in workouts and how he carries himself from drill to drill, what he does pre-workout and post-workout to take care of his body, to have that speed, when you throw it to him, it stands out. His speed is different from many others. He's already been helping CeeDee, helping the young guys playing cornerback to teach them the little nuances of route running. It's going to be huge for me and huge for the room. Then CeeDee Lamb went on to say, I'm more of a visual learner, and he's more of a let me show you type. Honestly, if I have any questions, the first moment he stepped in, he said to ask and be open with him. Out of all of the guys I've had ahead of me, I've always picked their brain. That's one thing I'm good at. In a situation like this, he can still run, he can still move, he's very explosive. It's good to have him a part of this team. Cooks brings excitement, speed, and of course, that veteran leadership. You can't have too much of it. Can't really put a ceiling on us. As you can tell, we can score from anywhere, quite honestly. We just have to put it together. That's very high praise for Brandin Cooks. And going to the whole point of his veteran leadership, that is so important for other guys in the room. Because at the end of the day, the Dallas Cowboys are trusting a lot of these guys to step up outside of Cooks and Lamb, right? Michael Gallup, we know his situation. He's trying to come back from that ACL injury and be the guy that he once was. I think that he can still do it, but we really have to think about what the Cowboys are doing here. They touched his contract, so he's at least here for the next 2 seasons. So you kind of have to look at, they're trusting him, they're trusting Cooks and Lamb to be that next big 3 at the wide receiver position for at least the next 2 years. Then the guys behind him, right? You have Tolbert and Fehoko, and then if they decide to choose one of these undrafted guys, or if someone else steps up from the previous lot that was here last year, you kind of hope that Cooks can step in and teach him. And I'm looking squarely at Tolbert here, because I think that with Jalen Tolbert, I saw in the preseason there were things to like. It's just, he's young, and I think that the offense really wasn't suited for him. Now you have Cooks teaching him. You have Lamb trying to help him out. And I think that if you really look at it, Tolbert now is in a situation where he isn't going to be forced to be that dude A1 day one, right? Which we kind of put him in that position last year. So I really hope that the Dallas Cowboys really learn from that debacle of what they did last year. And on top of that, if the Cowboys want to add more into this room, they really should look to do so. You know, Cedric Wilson was a name I said keep an eye out, because he'll probably get cut post June 1st, and especially in the training camp cuts. T.Y. Hilton, you know, maybe he can come back. A lot of these things we have to keep in mind, because you know, if Tolbert doesn't do well, if Fehoko doesn't do well, if anybody else doesn't do well, or you just want to add another dude to the mix like they did with T.Y. in the middle of last year, you really are going to have to make that decision soon, so we don't go into week 1 not knowing what the hell we're doing on the offensive side of the ball, specifically with this wide receiver core. But look, I absolutely love the Brandin Cooks edition. I still do to this day, and I hope he balls out for our Cowboys. I want you guys to comment down below how you feel about the Brandin Cooks trade at this point in time. Do you think the Cowboys made the right move? Do you think they still need to add to this wide receiving core? Please let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, guys? Have a good rest of your day.